Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first video episode of the Ledger Leaf podcast. And we also have our first ever guest on the podcast today. And I'm so excited because this person is not just someone I admire professionally, but also someone I really like as a human. So introducing Miss Caitlyn Grad of Caitlyn Grad Marketing, where she does social media strategy and content for small businesses. And she is one of those people who walks the damn walk. You may have seen her all over your For You page lately because she's been going viral for finding the most insane CT hidden gems. And she's on the hunt for Connecticut's best chocolate chip cookie. Caitlyn, hi, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to be chatting with you today because your story started with a pearl necklace, and I would really love to hear about that.
Yeah, so it was back in 2018. I had this favorite leather pearl necklace. It was like brown leather, little pearl knotted on sides. Like it was like all the rage in 2018. And it snapped because it was leather. And instead of just like throwing away, my dad was like, oh, we can fix this. So we go to Michael's, get all the supplies. And it was like in that moment of like, wait, like I could sell this. Like this is like a thing. And so I bought more supplies and started selling it to students around my school. And before I knew it, I had a website. And I'll be honest though, like I wasn't always good at marketing. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I had no background.
That is shocking to hear from you.
I know, but I had no idea how e-commerce worked. And I just kept testing and testing. And then COVID came in 2020, and that's when the business absolutely blew up because of the rise of TikTok. Instagram was popping off, and they were doing reels. And every week I was going viral on social media. Hundreds of orders, like hundreds of dots on a little Shopify live screen of people wanting my product. And then I got to the point in 2022 where I was like, I hate this. I hate the jewelry. It was stressing me out. And I pivoted, and that's where I am today in social media strategy.
You know what? You are so real for hating marketing just a little bit, because I think we all relate to that. It's very hard to be vulnerable. It's way more vulnerable than people think.
Mm-hmm.
So you figured out pretty early on that you didn't care too much about the thing, but it was more the marketing that was your jam. And that brings us to the most critical part of what you do, strategy. So explain to me why you decided to call yourself a social media strategist.
Yeah, I decided to call myself because there's kind of two people in social. You're either like a manager or you're a strategist. Like a manager is someone who will, I guess like technically a manager is someone who just posts content that someone else has created. But like technically, like when you're in the real world, it's, people who are doing camera graphics and just content that's just not really designed to perform. A strategist, someone like me, I really dive into your business. And it's not just, hey, we're looking to grow followers, but like, what are your business goals and how do we work backwards from that? And there's formats, there's structures that every successful creator and brand follows. And how do we channel that for our account? And it's technical and it's strategic and it's analytical. And there's a lot of work that goes into from prepping a client of how to film or going on site and filming. And there's just so much to it. But I love it because social media is like not luck. Like everyone wants to blame the algorithm. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to blame everyone but themselves. Of like, you need to learn how to create good content. And it's possible. Like I started from having 0 likes on posts to getting hundreds and thousands of views and sales every single week. So like it is possible. Just for the small business owners who feel like it's not and the algorithm is out to get you, it is not.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one of the things we're going to be talking about today, which is outsourcing. Because ever since the first time you and I met, we have joked that social media and bookkeeping is really the two things that most small businesses outsource first. And I feel like there's this thing where business owners are sometimes too close to their brand, and it's okay. We get it. Your brand is your baby, right? So we feel that motherly love towards our brand. But at some point, you have to let go and let it grow a little bit and let it kind of stand up on its own two legs. So when you're speaking with someone who maybe knows that they should outsource their social media but aren't quite ready yet, what are the signs that they should be looking for in someone like you? What are the green flags of someone who is going to support their brand in social media marketing?
Great question. So I would say, as you mentioned, social media and bookkeeping is the first thing to be outsourced. But just because it should be outsourced doesn't mean you're actually ready. So if I learned anything over the last 2 years of having the agency now is that just because you hate social media doesn't mean you should outsource. So that's the number one thing I hear on discovery calls. Oh, I hate social media. I don't want to do it. But if you're not getting results yourself on social media, like a consistent amount of views, engagement, follower growth, I actually don't think you should outsource, because someone like me as a strategist who also manages the account, there's a lot of trial and error. And it's going to take months potentially before you see that ROI. So if you're brand new to social, and I do work with startups, but if you have a smaller budget and you're like, oh, I really need to see this ROI pronto, you have to go learn social media yourself. And there are plenty of courses that you can take, or just go study 100. I always tell people, I'm like, if you want to learn social media strategy, go study 100 social media videos and decipher them. How did they start that video? How is the structure? And just write everything down. And then very quickly, you're going to learn formats.
I love what you said about that. And I also think we've said multiple times about both of our clients in the sense that we don't think that it's social media that you hate or the bookkeeping that you hate. Okay, maybe the bookkeeping, to be fair. I understand. But it's the vulnerability that comes with it, because you have to have a little bit of confidence to put up a camera and turn the spotlight on yourself. It's super vulnerable, and so is money. Money is one of the most vulnerable things in the world. So you might not be ready to fully hand it off. You might actually need a little bit of confidence too. So I have to bring this thing up because you've said this before, and it genuinely changed how I think about posting on my own social media. You called your clients lurkers once.
Yes.
Can you explain to me where that came from?
I don't know where the term silent lurkers come from, but I think a lot of people are on social media and they want that instant gratification, the engagement, the followers. But in certain industries like marketing, like financial services, real estate services, you're not going to always get that instant gratification where they're like, oh yeah, I want to go book with you. They're lurking, they're watching. So they're going to watch your videos. I also find it on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you might not get any engagement, and you might think, okay, I'm going to go delete that video. But don't delete the video, because LinkedIn is where the professionals are. So even if you get 200 views, they're going to be the right 200 views. 200 views on Instagram can be just totally random, not good. But on LinkedIn, if you have some professional service, it's actually the place to be. So don't get discouraged really on any platform, because anytime someone can be scrolling and they find that video, or they've been scrolling your page for 3 years and they finally reach out. So I know it can be very discouraging when you're not going viral and you see all these gurus saying it, but just know that people are watching, and just people are just not always vocal. Think of yourself on social media. Are you really liking? Are you really sharing things? I'm not. Maybe I'll like things, but I'm really just lurking myself. So it's always a good practice when you're meeting clients to always ask them, how did you find them, and kind of probe them with some questions to better understand where that lead generation is coming from. But don't feel discouraged because the lurkers are everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that's one of the two things that's helped me become more comfortable on social media. I've always been a silent watcher myself. It's pretty hard to get more than a like out of me unless I'm like really putting in the effort to show up for my friends. And then also what you said about lurking, it's a little bit terrifying, but also a little bit reassuring because I've found that about 90% of my clients have done the same. They don't always interact with what I'm posting, but they felt that it was authentic and they felt connected to me. That was another huge thing for me showing up on social media was in order to be authentic, you cannot fake that. There aren't enough lights in the world to fake who you are. And I've always felt like I don't like to be sold on social media. I like to connect. So that was always the way that I approached it that made me feel super comfortable too. Another thing that I think we should talk about is pricing. So, in a previous episode of mine, you actually submitted a question that was about pricing and your hot take about it that we as creatives are never charging what we're really worth. And this is something that I see a lot and I care a lot about because people are wildly undercharging for their creative work. What do you actually see when you look at social media managers who are charging something different than you and the kind of deliverable? If you're charging more, what should the deliverable look like versus someone who may be charging $100 a month for social? Because we've seen it. We have seen the $100 a month.
I think kind of the hot take also here is that just because, I may be charging $4,000 a month and someone's charging $500 a month, we're honestly probably providing a very similar experience. Like in the social media management world, like I said, like we're all undercharging. Like clients think, oh, you're just posting, but it's like you don't see hours of researching and scripting and ideation, then the editing and all that goes into it. So the person charging $500 is actually probably doing the same work as me. They just keep meeting business owners who don't have the money and all they have is $500 a month. When you're first starting out, you meet all these small business owners and they're like, oh, my budget's only $500 a month. It's only $400 a month. And then you're like, okay. And then you kind of lose confidence and you have imposter syndrome thinking you can't charge more. But if you're a social media manager watching this, like there is so much money to be made. You have to start rewiring your brain. I was taking this course and it was about paid ads, and there are brands spending multiple six figures a month on paid ads. So when you think about the money being spent, it's like all of a sudden that $4,000 a month is really not that bad for the value that you're providing. But that's like the age-old question you have to find. Like, how do you find these businesses making multiple revenue, a year? It's a very different ball game. But don't get discouraged that, I also started at like $400 for a client and now I'm here. But I think in general, like really for all our professions, we're never going to be fully charged what we're worth. But, I feel like as long as we keep having the pricing conversation, we can level the playing field. I was on a call the other day and he was saying how he's in a group chat with all other creators for brand deals. And they are in this group chat to make sure that the deals going out to these brands are consistent among the creators. So there was like an example of someone getting paid $35,000 for a brand deal. And he's like, this is why it's important because, another creator could have like undercharged at 10K, not realizing that you could have got 35K. So like having these pricing conversations ensures that we get consistent rates. And the more that you undercharge, the more that you hurt the rate, and the more that we can talk about this, the more that we can all thrive and we can all be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that community is super important when it comes to things like brand deals, or even on the other side. I've spoken with many other bookkeepers about what they're charging for their services, because I think when you have a lot of experience and you've been in the game for quite a while, upping your pricing to what you're actually worth reflects a lot of your value and people will take you more seriously. And then there are sometimes where we all talk together and go, you got to up your pricing, girl, because we're all on the same playing field. And it's even more about the person that you're choosing to work with at the end of the day rather than the deliverable at times. Sometimes we're all really good at social media. We're all really good at bookkeeping, and it's about the vibe too. So having us all be a community and charging what we're worth and uplifting each other makes it really fair. If someone came to you and maybe they weren't the right fit for you, but you could tell them one red flag about someone who is a social media marketing person, what is the one red flag you think people should look out for when they're trying to outsource?
I'll share a little story. I just had a discovery call last week and new business started in January, no sales. And I told them that you're not ready for marketing and to actually not invest in any social media person. Because there's a lot of good salespeople out there who will deceive you, who will, give you unfulfilled promises. And I told this woman, I'm like, you have to go back to the foundation. So I think the first red flag is kind of two red flags is people think social media is going to save a broken product. If your product or service doesn't actually solve a need, there's not like a real purpose and an audience behind it, social media is not going to save it. And the second thing is you need the foundations. Like, again, I can't do my job if you don't understand your target audience, if you don't have a website, if you don't have branding, if you just don't really have an understanding of what you're doing. Everyone thinks that social media is going to save a broken business or a dying business.
And make it go viral, too.
And make it go viral. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it certainly can sometimes. But I told this woman, I'm like, you have to go back to the foundations. You have to, like talking to you, the answers. You have to go fix that product. So I think if you're in this space, like I know, like we all want the success and we see social media, we see all these case studies, but you need the foundations because then when social media 3 months later, it doesn't bring the results you're looking for, I or other social media managers are going to be blamed, but you didn't have the foundations. And like the next thing is also, we talk about like social media helping to grow businesses, but you also need to be doing other things. You can't rely on social media as your only marketing source. You need email marketing, maybe text marketing, you need paid advertising, influencer marketing. So a lot of people will just spend the money and be like, oh, well, where's my sales or where's my ROI? But you aren't investing in anything. Like you have to be like, it takes now the original thing was like 7 touch points, but now I feel like it's something crazy, like 30, 50. I forgot what the stat was. So your social media is great and it provides so much great awareness and reach and definitely conversion, but you also have to be hitting it on all these other things.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I would love to play a quick game of this or that with you and see how you feel. I have a couple things written down, but if you have an idea that you're like, you should give me a layup and I'll answer this, I'm so down. Okay, this or that. Instagram Reels or TikTok?
I'm a sucker for TikTok. I guess.
You've been popping off on TikTok lately.
Actually, it's funny, but popping off more on Instagram. Actually.
Have you really?
Yeah, like the tides have shifted.
Okay, because I remember, I can't tell you the amount of times I've been in bed with my husband and I will hear your voice coming out of his phone and I'm like, what? Hold on. And he's like, we should go to this really cool place. And I'm like, that's Caitlyn. Like, Caitlyn is talking on your phone right now. And I was under the impression that the last time we talked, that TikTok was where it was at for you, but Instagram Reels, you're saying?
Yeah, Instagram Reels. Like, I say TikTok because I think business owners have a lot of untapped potential with not doing TikTok. So it's everyone always thinks, Instagram and Facebook, maybe LinkedIn, but no one, a lot of business owners have the connotation of it's a dancing app, it's for kids. I don't think it's always that, but there's definitely a certain demographic who think that. And I'm like, no, let's get you on TikTok, especially if you're a local business. It's great. but really anyone. And I guess my always school of thought is if you're already making one piece of video, why wouldn't you post it to Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, like all these places? Because you kind of be silly not to. So like I'm going to break the rules of this or that. Like if you're already making videos for Instagram Reels, you have no reason not to go post it to TikTok. And then for 3 months, see where you're seeing better results. And then you could maybe double down in one area, but like you have no reason not to just post everywhere.
Yeah. I don't know if you agree with this either, but I was talking to my podcast coach, Meg, of the Thriving Podcast plug, and she was telling me that she found the audiences on TikTok to be a lot nicer than the audiences on Instagram Reels. I don't know how many haters we have. Maybe like silent haters? Everyone's got some. But how are you noticing that maybe in brands, or do you notice it at all?
It just depends on the topic. Like Meg, I've seen Meg's content. She sometimes posts controversial content, or like pop culture. And so like that content is going to get varying degrees of responses. Like if, like, and I have a client where, they do tend to get some nastier comments on TikTok than Instagram because it's like a local business. They're surfacing on the TikTok feed. And then all the people who didn't have a positive experience are now commenting, but, they just may have not been on Instagram. So like when in doubt, if you are experiencing hate, one, recognize it. Like if you're a local business, is there something that you could be doing better? Can you candidly respond to them? If it's just awful, vile people because they exist, never be afraid to block people, to block certain words. Like this is your slice of the internet, so you can take those precautions. And I think the third thing is like threads. I think threads can be a more vile place because you've got all the keyboard warriors. So there definitely is some shifts of people, but it also depends on the topic you're talking about.
That was actually my next this or that was going to be Threads or LinkedIn.
I guess it really depends on your audience. Like I think, as a social media marketer, well, I guess it could work on both ways. But I feel like Threads is just people's random thoughts. Like there's definitely people getting clients from it and results, but it's like the wild, wild west. Like I saw one woman get eat up the other day because she posted a question about, and I actually thought it was a really good question. She posted about why does my photos on my iPhone end up in like HEIC and not JPEG? And I actually learned how do you switch that in your settings, but people were like, how can you be a social media manager and not know that? And like just like vile thing.
Yikes.
Where I thought it was super helpful. But on LinkedIn, I think if she had posted that, I feel like it wouldn't have gotten that bad of a response. But LinkedIn, I think, is kind of like the new TikTok, where it's this untapped thing. Like no one ever thinks of LinkedIn. But if you have a professional service, if you're a B2B, really any business I feel like can be doing well, but obviously B2B especially. Again, if you get 200 views, if you don't even get likes, like I once got a discovery call from a prospect, never liked. The girlfriend saw my post, forwarded to him and was like, hey, you have to call this girl. But I didn't get like any engagement on that video. So the leads are a lot better and high quality than some of these other platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. You know where I have seen the most vile like reads of people on the internet is Facebook. People are lethal in these Facebook groups, and not even just the business ones. If we're talking like the town, I have seen so many people get ate up in a comment section. It is like free reality TV. And I love when someone's fighting in the comments and then there's a business like advertising in between the argument. That is like, honestly, it makes me want to work with the business. I would love to be that carefree. Okay. Last, maybe this or that, maybe hot take, maybe chicken or the egg. What are we outsourcing first? Social media or bookkeeping?
I guess
Yeah, you have to pick.
you gotta pick.
You have to pick.
I'm gonna say bookkeeping because I'm gonna go back to my earlier take of if you are a new business, you probably don't have a social media presence. And again, it goes back to my earlier point of do not lead into the temptation of hiring out because you yourself need to figure out social media first. And you're probably better off with a bookkeeper because once you have a bookkeeper, they can help you understand your numbers and help you understand what is your marketing budget and how you can allocate it. So do not hire me until you are well established. I turned down so many businesses recently because I am very confident.
We all need to do that more. I have been turning away people so much, and it feels good though because it's like this. You're not the right person for me. I know 10 people that would be a better fit for this, and it really grows your own confidence as a business owner. So I love that you just said that.
But it's not even about like the right fit. It's just I don't even want you hiring anyone until you get these foundations because and the woman I was telling you about earlier, she probably doesn't have a financial person. I probably should have told her to go hire a bookkeeper.
Caitlyn, where's my referral?
No, I know. I probably should have told her because she's like, oh, like the money's running out and probably doesn't even understand how to effectively allocate the seed money in the budget. So I think it all comes down to managing your money first. And then people like Brenna can tell you realistically how much money do you have to invest? Because I also don't want people spending my top dollar package when they don't even have that much. Like then that's also silly. And that's why we always have conversations of like, how much money are you making? What is your revenue? Do you have a consistent cash flow, like a consistent business? Because I also don't want people spending their last seed money, their last grant money, their last whatever, because you're better off also just I'm also doing organic social media for the most part. So you also might be better off doing paid ads and doing other things or even cold pitching. There are probably other things that take a higher presence than social media. So when in doubt, hire Brenna first.
Period. That's why I invited you on the show, was just to talk about how great I am. No, I'm so kidding. I definitely agree with you. I think sometimes we are in such a hurry to go viral or to make six figures. I hear the six figures all the time. Hiring someone for your social media does not guarantee that you are going to go viral. And hiring someone to do your bookkeeping definitely isn't going to guarantee that you're going to make six figures. It's going to really open up the most vulnerable part of you, which is important to face when you're in this kind of industry. And I agree. I think people's budget sometimes, when I ask, they have been making a little bit of money and they're sometimes ready to just throw it at you. And we're like, hold on, because the foundation is what makes this sustainable long term. So one last question for you before we wrap this up, because I am seriously very invested in this. And I don't know if this series, I guess, has come to a completion for now for you, or if we're still looking, but is your favorite chocolate chip cookie in the state of Connecticut still Heirloom Market? Tell the people.
Yes, it still is, but there's a place in Bridgeport. I forgot what the name is.
We're going to find the name and we're going to plug these places for you in the description of this podcast episode. If you take chocolate chip cookies as seriously as I do, you're very welcome for this. If you do not follow Caitlyn on Instagram already, please go follow her because I believe it's your first pinned post is the Heirloom Market chocolate chip cookie, and you just need to see this thing, okay? I have yet to go myself, and it's killing me every day because I think about it constantly. Oh my gosh, well, Caitlyn, this was so fun. I feel like we could have talked for probably 2 hours, but I'm so happy to have had you here, and congratulations on being the first guest on the Ledger Leaf podcast. You can reach out to Caitlyn using the links in our show notes, and you also can follow her on Instagram at
Caitlyn Grad Marketing.
Hell yeah, which will also be in our show notes. And you absolutely should follow her, especially for some local CT hidden gems. So until next time, slow and steady wins the race every time.